CBC News.
Welcome to the afternoon edition. I'm Candace Holmstrom, sitting in for Craig Lederhouse. What a great day to be out on the field, whether you're a football fan or player or just looking out on the Saskatchewan skyline. It's days like this that are sometimes tough to be indoors at work, especially if you're surrounded by a cubicle wall. In this half hour, we talk with a Saskatoon man who's been thinking outside the box in terms of the workplace, or should I say workspace. He's in the running for a $100,000 prize for his entrepreneurial ways. More on that in just a moment. Also on the program, they're coming from outer space with guns blazing to a theater near you. Sci-fi fans are excited, but scientists are rolling their eyes. We'll find out about efforts to make Hollywood's alien invasions more scientifically sound. Tune in for that at about 20 to 5, right here on the afternoon edition on CBC Radio 1. Danny Mario has stepped into studio from the newsroom to tell us what we can expect on the 4:30 news. Hi, Danny. Radio 1, 19 degrees in Regina and in Prince Albert. Right now in Saskatoon, a temperature of 21 degrees. The other day, I was talking with a local contractor about the cost of running a small business. And speaking from direct experience, because I've owned a store myself in the past, capital costs can be huge. Rent on the building, business taxes, and utilities, it all adds up. But maybe there's another way of doing business. Curtis Olson seems to think so. He's a Saskatoon entrepreneur who's created what's known as the 220 in Saskatoon's Riversdale district. And he's one of the finalists for a $100,000 Entrepreneur Award. Curtis joins me now from our Saskatoon studio. Good afternoon.
Hi, Candace. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Great. Thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. First, tell us a little bit about the 220 and how it works.
Yeah, the 220 is it's an amazing workspace that we have in Saskatoon on 20th Street that has about 45 offices and studios, and it's best described as a little beehive of activity filled with creative industries, nonprofits, artists, photographers, and designers, all working independently on their own companies, but alongside one another.
And what made you want to create the 220?
It was primarily driven by a need for my own workspace and the desire of my wife, Carrie Catherine, and I to be immersed in a community of creative and collaborative, talented people.
And this is in the Riversdale district, correct?
That's right. It's in Riversdale on 20th Street.
One of the things that I'm struck by, Curtis, is the shift in approaches to workspace. I think I've kind of grown up in this territorial culture of this is my space and this is your space. But you talk about co-work space. So how do you see that working?
It's kind of grown out of this global change in the way people work. The independent workforce or mobile workforce is one of the fastest growing changes all across the globe. People can work from a laptop. And the concept of co-working is building spaces that work with people's need to or their ability to work independently on their own projects in a global nature, but in their desire to have colleagues, co-workers, and that are typically only available to people in larger corporations. So the idea of co-working is, working, independently, but alongside one another for those opportunities to collaborate in their work. So
could you give us a picture of a typical day in the space of how that would work?
Oh, sure. Most of my days start on the ground level up in our like flex co-working space. We show up roll into Collective Coffee and get an Americano, step next door and set up at the front counter. And it's usually myself, one of my friends, Steve Thompson from Hard Pressed, Darren McLean from Design.ca, who's a graphic designer, and maybe Renee, who's our community manager, starting the day, checking email, talking about what's going on and what we're working on that day and what went on the day before, and throwing up tweets, throwing up Facebook posts, and kind of having these loose conversations about, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we finish the sentence? One of the ideas was, well, why don't we start a horseshoe competition in that parking lot across the street from us? Mm-hmm. We found the horseshoes, but we haven't actually pulled the trigger on the competition yet. But it's kind of loose, creative, informal things that kind of start the day. From there, once that plays out its course, everyone will duck back into their studios or their offices and then get down to real business, and every once in a while poke out of that space back into the co-working space to see who else is in there, grab a coffee, and have that mix between social interaction and the private workspace.
Do you think this is just kind of a contemporary form of networking that we've talked about for decades?
In some ways, but it has a different spirit to it. Because we've been very deliberate in talking about the community of the 220, and what we found is that people come in, and it's not just coming in looking for a space that they can rent cheap or something. People are coming in with a desire to contribute and to benefit from being in a collaborative and open community like this.
So you talk about building community in the Riversdale area of Saskatoon. Why is that urban renewal so close to your heart?
Well, Carrie and I live in the middle of it. Our home is in Caswell Hill, just about 6 blocks away from the office. And we have this really strong desire to live in a culturally rich and multicultural and ethnically diverse community. And it exists there. And we walk from home or bike from home into the office and see all of the subtleties that are going on in the different businesses along the way, and the storefronts and the people that are on the streets there, that we're interacting with. And we just find that urban lifestyle is very rich and very deeply connected, and that provides us with that lifestyle that we've been working towards.
Is it cheaper to run a business from the 220 compared to, say, a storefront operation?
Well, most of our spaces they're not really retail in nature. It's office or administrative or studio space. What we find is, I don't know if we're any cheaper, but what we've found is that the benefits of being in our space and the community engagement that comes along with it is it delivers amazing value for the tenants that we have. They find the building helps give them traction underneath the tires of their business and push behind the ideas that they have.
You obviously have a successful formula of sorts because you're expanding, correct?
That's right, yeah. We're actually in the process of doubling the size of our little creative campus, reaching up to about 35,000 square feet in total.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And also congratulations, you're one of 8 finalists for Young Entrepreneur Award.
Yes, very exciting news. It's a program.
$100,000 possibility.
Yeah, it's the pursuit we have is to build a real world-class co-working facility that is on the map globally, and this prize that we're in line, or working towards, could really help to take it to that next level, to really make it world-class, and also to make it really serve Saskatoon and Saskatchewan as a whole.
So you would invest it back into the business? Oh,
we have to. Mm-hmm. Spending it on a vacation is not an option with the BDC. I don't know if you've worked much with banks, but no, they don't leave much room to interpretation of where that money gets spent.
No, I've worked with the banks, yes, indeed. How is the winner going to be decided?
It's very interesting. Now that we're a finalist, the eight finalists are all up on the BDC website. I think it's BDC Young Entrepreneur award.ca, and it is 100% decided by public voting. So the public can vote once a day from every day from now through until June 19th, and we're asking for people to support us by going online and placing their vote and, really casting a vote for Saskatoon.
Curtis, thanks for speaking with me today.
Thank you very much, Candace.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Curtis Olson is the brain behind the 220 in Saskatoon's Riversdale neighborhood.